All right, what are the must-haves in trading? I'm going to break down what I think. So there's a bunch of different things down here. What I think is the most important out of all of these, maybe even some that it could be negative, kind of helpful, important. So I'm going to kind of just go through all of these. So let's go ahead and get started with backtesting. So backtesting, where would I rank backtesting as far as negative, neutral, helpful, important, or must-have? I would think backtesting would fall under important. Backtesting is really important to see how your strategy is doing. So basically, you say, okay, I would enter here, I would exit here. What I like doing is doing a replay of the chart. And so essentially, what you would do is you do something like this. And you would say, okay, I'm going to be a buyer right here. And then boom, and then just, kind of just backtest it that way. I think honestly, that is probably, that is to me, it's a must have. I think it's really important to do something like that. But we only have backtesting here, so I'm gonna just keep it as important. Demoing, I would definitely say that is not a must have. I would definitely say it's important. A lot of folks would argue that you must demo, you must do this or that. I've done it a lot, and I think that demoing. Demoing could be down here as a negative, because what demoing could do it basically, it's your psychology is you'll be like, all right, well, I'll just go all in here, and then that's not really how you would do it normally, right? And then you would just kind of you would make a trade, you would win, be like, all right, well, I would have won that, but did you really win? Or, would that wouldn't have really been something that you would have done in the first place. So it's important, but you have to do it, demo the right way. Books, I will go neutral. I'm not the biggest I would definitely would admit I'm not the biggest reader out there. I like watching videos. I like reading. I guess I do like reading articles and seeing what's going on, news and things like that. But books could definitely be important. I don't think it's a must-have though. I would definitely put it under neutral. Again, this is a lot of folks will be like, oh, you got to be reading the books, you got to do that. Well, that's your opinion. This is mine. This is my list. So psychology. I guess that's what PSY is, psychology. I definitely think this is so I'm going to put this as a must have, and here's why. Because without the right mindset, you are going to get crushed. And so when you lose a trade, are you going to double down, or are you going, what are you going to do after you lost? What are you going to do after you win? Right. And so this is a must have. You must have a good mindset, because if you don't, you'll get a couple wins in a row under your belt, and you'll be like, all right, I'm the best trader ever. And then before you know it, you're down, you go all in on a position, and then you're down and you just lost your entire account. So yeah. News is, I'm going to put that under importance. So we're going to have a lot of importance. Depending on what you're doing, it could be a must-have. Obviously, if you're doing news trading, it's a must-have. But if you're just doing regular, like say stock trading, options trading, forex, it's a definitely important thing to keep an eye on. But I don't think it would be considered a must-have. But I would put it as important. Journaling. I would say that would be kind of helpful. I don't personally journal every single trade. I know a lot of folks that do, and it helps them. And it will kind of go under the psychology. To me, I think the psychology behind what you do after you make the trade, that is really important. So journaling could be important. It's kind of helpful, but I wouldn't put it as a must-have or important. But it definitely would help. Honestly, some folks, and again, everybody's different. So I'm just doing this for me personally. A lot of folks it's a must-have. They have to journal their trades because of just the loose sight. MTF. I don't even know what MTF would be. So I'm just going to just keep that down there. Position, and I think or POS, I think that it is a position sizing. I think that's what that would be. Some of you guys might know what some of these stand for. I'm not really sure what MTF would be. I could probably look that up, because Okay, so I looked up multilateral trading facility. So I'm not even exactly sure what we're doing there. So I'm just going to put that over here. So let's just keep that over there for now. So the next one would be position POS, so which would be position sizing. So what you're positioning, right? I think this would be sizing is what I look at this as. So this is a must. This you must understand the size of your position. You must understand that if you lose, if you're going in on a trade, you're losing. You know, what are you losing? You losing 3% of your account on total, or are you going to be losing 50%? Or are you going to be losing 70%? This is a must-have. You must have the ability to adjust your position sizing, to know what your position sizing is, and to understand that. A stop loss is important. I would put it as must-have. But if say you're doing option, if you're doing forex, if you're doing something like Bitcoin, things like that, not even stocks, because you can just do buy and hold. Yeah, stop loss is important. But if you're doing something like options, stop loss could be like a stop order. I personally, what I do with, especially if I'm doing something like options, is hey, I account for the entire position. If I lose the entire position, is that what I'm willing to risk? And if it is, then you don't really need a stop loss. Your stop loss is basically your position. You lose the entire position. That's your stop loss. But if you're doing something like forex, things like that, yes, you have to have a stop loss, because forex you could just literally just lose your entire account in one trade. So stop loss, very, very important. RRR. Would this be risk? I'm gonna put this under as risk to reward. I think that's what they're talking about here. So risk reward is another important thing. You definitely need to understand risk reward. And actually, I'm just gonna put that as must have. You must know your risk reward, because if you're just because if you could have a 99% winning strategy and still lose money. And that's basically if you say you risk say you just traded 99 in a row and you won, let's just say you got $1 each trade, right? And then your last trade, you're like, all right, I'm going to go all in here. I'm going to risk the entire, let's just say it was $100, $100 total account. You go all in and you lose it. That's you got a 99% win rate, and you still lost money. So yeah, social media, negative. There is good accounts to follow, and I would put that under news. But as far as social media goes, I think it's just a waste of time. I don't think it'd be very very important. Times. I guess this will be trading times, and I would definitely put this as an important to know when you're trading. So this will kind of be volume. This will be when when things are happening. So when to know when, like what time to trade. I think that's definitely important. Have a trading plan. Must have. You got to have a trading plan. Very, very important to have a trading plan. Know what you're getting into. Know when you're going to get out. I think that's very, 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 very important. Time frame. Yeah, I can say it's kind of helpful. I guess it depends on what you're trading exactly. What your goals are. Are you going to be holding long term? If you're holding long term, you could just time frame on the daily. Typically, you're not going to be looking at the lower minute time frames or things like that. You're going to be looking at the daily time frames. So it's kind of helpful. I would definitely borderline important, but for just for the list's sake, I'll put it under kind of helpful, because it is helpful, but it's really not. It's not a must-have. It's not like super important. I guess it depends on what your trading plan is. If your trading plan needs a time frame, then yeah, it's must-have. Like say you're only, because I've traded a system where it's only doing 10-minute. And so if it's a 10-minute chart, obviously this is going to be important. But for just general trading, I would definitely say that COR. I think this would be like correlation. I would just put that as neutral. I think that would just be correlation between different markets, or I don't really know. I don't really do too much about that. Goals. Where would goals be? Negative? No, goals would be it is important to have goals. It really is. And so I'm going to put that under important. I'm not going to have must have. And here's why. Because, sometimes you could have a goal and it could be insanely unattainable. And if you don't reach it, if you don't reach your goal, look what's going to be affected. Your psychology. Your psychology, you're going to be thinking, man, I didn't hit $1,000 this month. I didn't hit my goal. And this could be even with business, right? So if you have a business goal and you don't hit it, your psychology could hit it. But like, man, like we didn't hit this month, and so now everything's, oh no, everything's panicking, So, but I think goals are important. I think goals are really important, and I think that if you don't have goals, you could kind of get lost. You can kind of get lost where, you just don't really have any ideas of what you want to do. So goals are important for sure. Win rate. And this is going to be controversial, but I'm going to put this as neutral. I'm going to put it in neutral, and here is why I'm putting it there. And I almost want to put it as negative. You know what? I'm going to stir some feathers here. I'm going to put it as negative because so here's why I'm putting it down there. So this is why it's so controversial, is because, like I said, what you need to focus on is risk. So RRR, which is the, risk reward. This is the number one important. This is utmost important. You can have a 99% win rate. You have the best strategy in the world, right? I am the best trader ever. I win 99% of my trades, but you could still be a loser. You could still lose because, like I said, it's all about the risk reward. Let's just say that, like I said, let's just say you have, and this is, a simple breakdown. Let's just say you have, you took 100 trades and 99 of them were winners. One of them was a loss, right? So you follow me? So this is one trade loss. So these were all, let's just say for this example's sake, like I said, you have a $100 account. Each one of these was $1, right? So you got $1 for each of these trades. All right, so now, great. So now you got $99. So now our account is sitting at almost $200. Let's just say we racked up $200. Our account is now $200. Now on the very last trade, you're going to say, all right, I'm going to go all in on this one trade. I'm going to risk $200. I'm going to risk this entire account, and you lose it. And so if you lost this trade, your account is now $0. So you're a loser. It actually is a loser. So this is why win rate is the most overrated, is the most talked about, but is the most overrated thing a trader could actually focus on. And so that's why I'm going to put this as negative, because there's a lot of folks that only focus on the win rate. I won 89% of my trades. I'm the best trader in the world. In reality, you're just a loser because your risk to reward was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. Your position sizing was terrible. These two things right here, you got to focus on these two: risk to reward, position sizing. And actually, that whole thing would have been position sizing, not risk to reward even. But that's still involved with it. So that is my little thing about win rate, and you can disagree with it all you want. You can agree, and you can leave a little comment below as to why I'm wrong about that. But and win rate can also affect psychology. So this does come back to it, but I still think that this has there's just too much around this that people focus on. It could be a negative. It could be a negative thing in your head. So I wanted to park on that for a little bit, and that's why I think it could be negative. The last one is volume. This is also depending on your strategy. I'm going to just put this as kind of helpful. Volume is actually, you know what? It depends on what your strategy is. Again, I have different, I'm thinking of different ways, volume could affect things. But I would just put it as kind of helpful. Volume is important because it does get the market moving. Um, but depending on what your strategy is, you might not even need volume. So put that there. And then MTF is the last one, which I don't really, like I said, whatever that is, we don't really focus on that. So that is my list. Would you guys change anything different than this? I'm sure you guys would. I know that the win rate's probably going to spark some controversy, but I think that it's going to have at the end of the day, I've seen too many people only focus on this and not about everything else. So I think the must-haves: psychology, your head. You got to think about what you're doing. You got to understand that if you go on a massive win streak, right, your psychology has to stay up. If you go on a massive losing streak, your psychology, you have to make sure, because what will happen is if you get 5 in a row, you're thinking that you're invincible. And so what will happen is your position sizing will go insane and you'll just lose it all. And then so the win rate has nothing to do with anything, So position sizing, obviously very important. RRR, risk to reward, which I believe that's what that means. So it looks like. And then your trading plan. You have to have a plan involved. I definitely think backtesting, demo, news, stop loss, times trading, and your goals are very important. I won't put them as must-haves, but I would say they're important. And then, obviously, journaling, timeframes, volume, those are helpful. Books, correlation stuff, like that's okay. And then I think social media is always going to be negative. It's going to put you down. You're going to be on there. It's nothing really helpful. If you want to get any kind of news on social media, that will put that under news. But social media at the end of the day is just going to it'll just be negative. And then, like I said, win rate. So that's my list. If you guys change anything else, leave it in the comments. But hopefully this was interesting enough. And if you found this helpful, maybe we'll do some other ones. Maybe we'll do some like indicator. I mean, there's like so many we could do. But I thought this would have been a pretty cool video and something you guys would find interesting. All right, that's it for me, and I'll see you guys in the next one.